Well, good morning, everybody. Those of you who are here, thank you for being here on time. We'll just wait another couple of minutes to give some more of the attendees a chance to arrive. We're expecting 50 or so people today. So we'll just wait a couple of moments until then. Thank you. Okay, so I think we should start now. We're up to around about half of our expected attendees. I'm sure more will check in just a moment. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Monday morning. Obviously, we hope everybody is well and things are all okay wherever you are in the world, as best as they can be at this difficult time. And we thank you very much for joining us today. So just a couple of things before we begin. Could I please ask that during the webinar session and also in the question and answer section at the end, could everybody please put their questions into the chat window, not into the Q&A window? Because there are some technical reasons why some questions in the Q&A window don't get seen by all participants, whereas I think everybody is able to see what goes into the chat window. So any questions you may have for us, please do feel free to ask, but of course, please try to type them into the chat window. That would help us a lot. We can monitor that quite easily as well. We will respond to your questions either in text or verbally as soon as we are able. But to start off with, let me introduce the team who are going to be talking to you today. Okay, so first of all, we have Usman Majid. He's the EFPF project manager. He'll be talking to us about some of the project details. Next, we have Alexandros Nizamis, who's the lead of the open calls. Then we have Alexander Schneider, who is the technical lead of the project. And then there's me, Nick Fair, who's here to help things along the way. Okay, so the agenda for today, we will start off with Usman telling us a little bit about the project, some of the overviews, the objectives, some things around the portal and various other very useful project information. This is quite an important section of the webinar to pay close attention to, because there'll be some hints and tips about the sorts of things we would like you to include in your presentations, in your proposals, sorry. Once Usman has finished, we'll move on to Alexandros, who will give us the details of the open call. Hopefully here are some of your questions, technical questions you may have around the call. Some of the rules and regulations and details will be answered. After that, Alexander will talk to us about some of the EFPF technical details, so much more kind of in-depth information around the technical parts of the project. And then after all of that is finished, we'll open the session up to you guys for a question and answer session where we will all collectively try to answer the questions that you may have. Okay, so let's right now hand over to Usman. Just before we do so, are there any questions from anybody at this stage? We'll monitor the chat window throughout, so do put them in, but bear with us. There's lots of people and potentially lots of questions, so it might take a little bit of time for us to respond to you, but we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay, Usman, no questions seem to be coming in, so if you'd like to hand over to, I'll hand over to you. I'll stop sharing my screen and you should be able to take over.
Thank you, Nick. Okay. Right, now you should be seeing the right window.
Yep, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so as Nick explained, this is a presentation, a brief overview of the project, the platform, and some insight about the open call experiment. So just to give you a brief introduction of the project, I hope all of this information is quite clear on the website. And if you attended the previous webinars, then this is not new for you, for those. But for those who are here for the first time, EFPF is a large-scale European-funded project. It is composed of 30 partner organizations from 11 different countries coming together to establish a federated digital manufacturing connected factory platform with the aim to actually support lot size 1 manufacturing scenarios using the digital tools that are available from different domains, such as blockchain, from cloud computing, from collaboration tools, AI, data analytics, and so on and so forth. We have one open call through which we want to expand the platform and expand the ecosystem around the platform to support the wider uptake of the solutions. And the project has 3 pilot scenarios. These will be introduced a little bit in my presentation to give you an overview of the different application domains where the EFPF solutions are being applied. And through the open call, we want to expand on these areas. So in terms of the very high level image of the project, it is a federated platform development initiative. We are establishing a federation of 4 existing platforms that were previously developed in the European funded projects. These platforms were actually digital manufacturing platforms. They are coming from Research Innovation Action project, which means that the solutions were not mature enough to be offered straight to the industry, but required a certain level of enhancements and maturity before they can be prepped up for utilization in actual environment. And this is one of the things that we are trying to do in the project by not only building on the existing solutions which were developed in these projects, but also trying to make them interoperable through this EFPF data spine mechanism that we have developed within the project. It is an interoperability mechanism that supports interoperability at the level of data, process, protocol, and allows us development of composite solutions that bring together the strengths and different types of functionalities from various providers in order to address specific industrial needs. So you can see an overview of some of the functions, the technologies that we are bringing together from base platforms into this EFPF federation. The data spine itself at a very high level looks like that, where at the base you have these different platforms, industrial systems that are able to communicate with each other through this data spine interoperability mechanism. And this communication interoperability then enables the development of federated platform services where we are able to support connectivity and cybersecurity and data exchange scenarios between different tools. And through this federated platform services, we are able to develop industry-facing, user-facing applications that can address specific user needs. Some of these applications are already being developed in these pilot applications phase of the project, and we want to expand on these applications, this set of applications through this funded open call. You'll hear more about the data spine internal mechanism in a presentation later in the webinar. To give you an idea of the pilot, so we have, as I said, there are 3 pilot areas. So the first is this aerospace supply chain. Here, the focus is to connect multiple suppliers and allow them to use and introduce digital tools in their operations and in their collaborations in order to increase the resilience of their supply chains, in order to increase the level of digitalization in the aerospace manufacturing SMEs, and also allowing them to use digital tools for establishing interconnectivity between their different processes. Some of the solutions that we are developing for this pilot within the project using the EFPF federated platform and toolset involve solutions for efficient resource management, where we are connecting IoT devices with AI-based environment monitoring solution in order to ensure compliance with certain security procedures. We are also developing this distributed workflow scenario that allows multiple companies to establish distributed workflow and monitor the execution of activities, introduce more visibility and more more efficient risk management in the aerospace supply chains. And this catalog service allows companies to actually expose their products to wider audience. The other area where the pilot developments are taking place is the furniture supply chain. Here the focus is on lot size 1 manufacturing, where we are developing digital solutions that allow companies to develop mass customized products that require fine tuning at each step of production, or for each product, the whole product life cycle and the production process needs to be altered in order to satisfy the specific user needs. Here we are developing solutions for predictive maintenance, again for workflows, so that you can develop production processes that can be shared with all the partners in a supply chain, and based on this enhanced visibility and transparency, it is easier for the supply chain to adjust their processes and internal activities according to the overall needs of the process. Then business network intelligence is about bringing networks of companies together in order to support new opportunities and so forth. So here, basically, we're working with furniture manufacturing companies and addressing some of the specific needs that they had in the project. The third one is a more wider scenario. It's about the circular economy. It's about track and trace of waste and material within manufacturing supply chains in order to ensure transparency and compliance within the circular economy scenarios. Again, we are developing certain solutions which are able to support these industrial needs for track and trace of materials, for online bidding of different materials, for using data analytics and monitoring solutions to actually optimize the processes and ensure better and timely decision making. So these are the 3 different pilot areas where we are working with the industrial users and also manufacturing companies and waste management companies in order to develop solutions that address their specific problems. And these solutions are developed using the EFPF platform and the associated tools and mechanisms. An overview of these applications, the pilot applications, is available on the EFPF website, where we are maintaining this series of monthly blogs. So in the last 3 months, we published blogs that describe the applications, the pilot applications that we have developed within the project using the platform and available tools and services. And this will give you, as an open call experimenter, an idea of what type of solutions can be supported by the platform, can be developed on the platform, offered on the platform, and also what type of solutions that we are working on, so that you can adjust the scope and answer your own questions about whether this topic is suitable or not. This information on the website should help with that. So please look at the blogs on the website. Please look at some of the videos that we are making available in time, because currently we are going through this piloting phase where the pilot applications have been developed or at a final stages of development are currently being tested within the real manufacturing environments. And as more results become available, we'll be posting them on the website. But I think there are some base ideas available already on the website, which can help you, tune the scope and tune the let's say the format of your application according to what the project is doing. Other resources available on the website include the deliverables that provide the requirements, that provide the highlight the pilot scenarios that we have identified in our pilot domains. But we are also interested in other domains. We are also interested in, for example, working with automotive manufacturers or in their supply chains and other areas where digital manufacturing industry 4.0 solutions can be applied. In terms of other resources, so we have recently published this information about the IPR associated with the different solutions that are available on the platform, and this may also be helpful when you are trying to make use of certain solutions available on the platform. One thing that I wanted to highlight in this webinar is about the availability of different solutions that can be used or that can be used as building blocks in your applications or in your solutions. For example, we expect that many of the open call applications would involve extraction of data from industrial systems or from shop floor or from IoT devices. In EFPF, we have developed different types of connectors, and these connectors are already showing their value in the pilot scenarios for extraction of data, for secure management and trustworthy management of data, from the IoT device or from the shop floor to the system where the data is being used. And we would promote the use of these type of EFPF solutions in your applications as well. We hope that they'll be as useful to you as they were for us. And wherever there is a need for extracting data from systems or devices, we would like to promote the use of EFPF solutions. An overview of EFPF solutions, a technical overview is available on the portal, which has been provided to you, as a form of this link. This portal is available, the link is available on the website, and you can see that basically from here, I can give you a quick overview of the portal functionality. First and foremost, the terms and conditions are available on this link. Then you can register as a user, and you'll be registered as one of the open call users with limited access to the portal. In this phase of the project, we are providing only access to the solution introduction and information pages. We are not providing you access directly to the solution because we are reserving this option for the project partners. But once your application is successful and you become part of the project, then of course full access will be granted to you. But we believe with this information that is currently available on the portal, you should be able to get a good idea of the solutions that we currently have, and any other questions can be answered by the email. So just to give you a quick overview of this portal, you'd see that we have a dashboard layout where we have categorized the different type of technical solutions that are being developed or in the project or offered to the open call experimenters. All of these solutions are accessible through the single sign-on service and security mechanisms that we've implemented. If I go into this data analytics category, there are various solutions available that are currently being developed and validated in the pilot scenarios. I can go to one of these solutions. I can see all of this information. I can see the deployment guide, the demo video, reference architecture. Most of this information is available for most of the solutions that are currently listed on the portal. What you don't see is this try now link. And I can give you a quick sneak into this link. Here you can actually work with the solution. So for example, this is a data analytics solution. You can develop the models, you can upload the historic data sets, you can create the model, you can deploy the model on the broker, EFPF broker, and then you can see real time. You can connect your data streams with the broker and you can see real time data streams. So with that, basically, there are many other options available for you. For example, this solution, the demo video is available for this IoT-enabled AI vision system. You can see what was the implementation of it, and reference architecture and all the other background information is available to you. So this is a good learning resource. So these are the type of solutions that are currently available, and in one type of applications, we are interested in strengthening this part to add more applications into this dashboard that so that we can provide this unified and secure single sign-on access to more solutions in the digital manufacturing and industry 4.0 domain. Another type of application is about extending the platform with external platforms and marketplaces. So this is a good overview of that. We have a federated marketplace mechanism where multiple marketplaces are linked together, and you can see products and services listed from multiple marketplaces on the same UI. You can then use your single sign-on ID to actually log into the base marketplace and perform your transaction there. I'll not spend more time on this, but basically have a look there. And if you have any specific, need for information, please use the link available. One more thing I'd like to point out is that this portal is currently, under development, and more updates will be available as they become available. So then going on to the next part of the presentation, which is about managing the expectations. So we are getting in a collaborative kind of relationship with Open Call experimenters. So I think it's very good that we clarify our expectations on both sides. So from the Open Call experimenters, we believe that we are addressing their expectations, or the value proposition that we are offering them is access to interoperable tools and services. So it's a platform. Most of the tools are open source. You can use them as building blocks and you can build on that. We are providing you an opportunity for knowledge sharing and cross-fertilization of ideas. You are becoming part of a large community of European researchers and Industry 4.0 experts, and you'll learn, hopefully they'll be learning on both sides. We want you to not only develop, but test and validate your solution. So we are providing you with the testing and validation environment, so you can work with our users to see how good the solution is for their needs. And we can also provide you access to some open data sets and other infrastructure resources based on your specific needs. And we are also providing you opportunities for developing new business models based on these marketplace and other features that can be supported by the platform. On our side, we expect you to actually work with EFPF, make your stuff work with EFPF data spine, which we see as a gluing mechanism in a vibrant Industry 4.0 ecosystem. So we want you to actually use data spine for establishing connectivity, not only between your tools and EFPF solutions, but also between other applications that you may manage or where you need such interoperability. We also expect you to establish connectivity with other EFPF services. For example, we want your applications to be offered through the EFPF portal. We want you to populate a marketplace with new solutions. So basically, we want to build an ecosystem around this federated platform. We want you to develop this innovation into a market-ready state. And we are not only interested in validation of ideas, we are more interested in ideas that can be offered, developed and offered to the users through the EFPF platform. Then again, we are interested in knowledge exchange, and we want you to support this collaborative ecosystem by becoming part of this European Factory Foundation. This is a sustainability mechanism that we have developed within the project. This is a legally independent association set up in Austria. Currently, 12 organizations are member of it. It is a partner in the project, and this non-profit entity will take over the operations and management of the EFPF platform after the funding period ends, and therefore it will ensure the sustainability of the solutions and the platform beyond the project lifetime. If your solutions are offered through the portal and through the platform, then don't think that after 2 years when the project finishes, everything will be switched off. We have put in place a sustainable mechanism, a non-profit entity to ensure transparency and trust and no competition type of governance parameters to ensure that the continuity of the EFPF solutions and outcomes. And we want you to join the EFPF Factory, this European Factory Foundation, and make it a vibrant industrial body that can represent the wider interests of our community. So with that, I will wrap up my introduction. The Open Call email address is available here as on the website. Please make use of the resources available on the project website. As I mentioned, there are blog posts that describe some of the insights from the project. The funding call page provides a lot of information, the materials about the direct access to the funding platform. We are recording these webinars and providing the presentations here as well for your look back. So for anything else, please look at FAQs or get in touch with us using the email address. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Usman. That was great. I've been monitoring the chat window. As yet, we haven't had any questions come in. If you do have questions occur to you while any of us are talking, please, don't be shy. Do put them in the chat window. We're here to try and respond to you. Alternatively, you can keep them in your mind and bring them back when we have the Q&A session at the end. It's up to you which way you'd like to do it. So thank you very much, Usman. I'll just give a couple of moments. If anybody wants to type in any questions at this moment, now is your opportunity. If I haven't had any questions within a minute or so, we'll move on to Alexandros, who will tell us a lot more about the details of the open call. Okay, we've had one quick question in. Where can I see the list of available features in the EFPF SDK? Okay, we might return to that question, Isan, in the technical section. That might answer that question. So if you hang on a little bit for that, in about sort of 20 minutes or so, we may get the answer. If not, we'll return to that question in the Q&A. Okay, we've got another question coming here. I joined later, so how can we access the platform to include modules in our applications to test and validate them in the context? Yes, that will also come more in the technical section. So don't worry, Tobias, you haven't missed that yet. That's still to come. If we don't answer your question in the technical section, remind us again, please, in the Q&A, and we'll answer it then. Great. Okay, thank you guys for those questions. It's nice to know that people are out there and listening. We appreciate that. So let's move over now to Alexandros, who's going to tell us a bit more about the actual details and mechanics of the open call. It's all yours, Alexandros.
Hello from my side. Can you hear me?
We can, yep.
Okay, I'm Alexandros from CERT, and we are the leading partner for open call activities of the FPF project. In this session, I'm going to give you a short overview of our open call and its procedures. Also, we're going to have an overview of the type of the sub-projects that we support, and to see some general answers on your questions so far. And also, I would like to present you some steps and materials that you should follow and have a look in order to create a good application. So let's start off this high-level overview of our call. Probably most of you know about all them. We are going to provide 2.5 million euros in total. For each sub-project, you are going to receive from 50 to 150,000 euros, and we are going to provide financial support in 20 sub-projects, or around 20 sub-projects. The duration of each sub-project will be fixed to 6, 9, or 12 months, and we support 3 main categories of sub-projects here. The first is about creating new applications. The second is about testing or validating the FPF platform and its services. And the third is how to integrate these new platforms or services to our platform. Also, it was to mention here that we're going to provide 70% of the total funding support to profit organizations and 100% for non-profit organizations. As it happens also in Horizon 2020 program that EFPF project belongs to it. These are the key dates for our open call. As you know, on 19th of February of 2021 is our deadline for the call, so you have about 20 days to proceed with your application and finally submit it through the F6S. After that, by April, we are going to finalize our evaluation process. Each proposal is going to be evaluated by 2 experts coming outside from the project as external evaluators and 1 coming from our project. And before the end of the April, we're going to announce, actually on May, we're going to announce you if you have selected or not. And from May and until August, we're going to start the contracting period and the creation of the work plans from your side. The experiments will start on September of 2021 and is going to end from February to August 2022 based on the duration of each experiment. As I said before, it's 6, 9, or 12 months. On December of 2022, we have also the end of the Fpf project in total. These are some of the main reasons for you to apply. As I said, you are going to receive from 50 to 150,000 euros and support from our side in order to develop your applications and sub-projects. You will own what you produce, and you will be able to exploit your outcomes. You are able to select from different type of sub-projects, as I said, and from different durations, so you have some flexibility here. And finally, you will get access on an established industry for ecosystems such as the FPF and with a connection with the EFF Foundation, as well as Usman described it to you before. So let's have now a better look on the sub-project types. The first one is about the creation. So in this category, the experimenter should develop new applications and services, even using the Fpf SDK or by using and updating, extending, etc., some of already existing EFPF solutions. In this solution, the targets are to deliver various applications that could provide added value to the Fpf platform, or solutions to address current and urgent issues on manufacturing, maybe solutions related to the Fpf pilots, or in general solutions for other Industry 4 domains. This type of sub-project is a good fit for SMEs related to ICT solutions, and especially for Industry 4 domains, as I said. For this type of sub-projects, you can apply for the maximum amount of 150,000 euros, and the duration of each sub-project here should be 9 or 12 months. And we accept only single applicants applications and not consortium allowed here. This is now our second major type of supported activities, and this is related to validation. For this type, you can apply for a functional type of validation related to validation and testing of EFPF platform core functionalities, or you can apply for a scenario, let's say, type validation, in which you are testing and validating EFPF solutions in some new pilot cases related to Industry 4, of course. For this type, we offer up to 100,000 euros for funding with duration of 6 or 9 months. Opposite to type 1, in this type, also consortia up to partners are allotted here. For example, a pilot partner alongside with a technical provider would be a very good fit for this type of experiments. And let's see now our third and last supported type of sub-project, which is devoted to integration. So you're going to integrate solution services and platform and or even other platforms to the EFPF1. So the application proposals can be focused on third-party services and solutions integration and validation in EFPF platform, or on connection of third parties platforms and marketplaces on EFPF corresponding infrastructure. Same to the first type here, we provide up to 150,000 euros for each sub-project, and we have also 9 or 12 months duration for this type of application. Again, same to the first type of experiments, only single applicants are available here for providing their applications. Now maybe we can see some of your questions. So in next slides, we tried to group your questions so far and provide some answers that as indicated by your emails, is something that probably is needed because you have asked a lot of you many times some of these questions. So your first kind of consideration is related to eligible type of applicants. So we are accepted SMEs and legal entities of any size from manufacturing, supply chain, and ICT domains, startups, and also research institutes. As we see before, you should apply as a single applicant for type 1 and 3, and as a consortium of up to two partners for the type 2 of sub-projects. Sorry. However, as you can see, we support also subcontracting. The subcontracting should be for supporting reasons and not the core activity of your project. So the subcontracted could be up to 20% of your budget. Something that indicates that is only for support you. So you can apply as a single applicant, but you can have a subcontractor for a specific job, let's say for your proposal, in order to get any support that is not possible to be done by your company or your organization. A second group now of questions is related to other eligibility obligations. So just to let you know, we accept applications from companies that are established in European Union, UK, or in associated countries. And of course, they should be stable and solvent entities with a PIC number and eligible to participate in Horizon 2020 programs. Of course, you should not be affiliated with any EFPF member. Now let's see a few things about your business and exploitation related considerations. So you have the right to exploit the outputs of the open call and the work you've done here, as long as you honor any license of any component coming from EFPF platforms. That's the only obligation from your side. Also, we expect that some of the selected sub-projects outcomes to be hosted, maintained, and be operational on the EFPF platform or marketplace, free of charge for both sides. That means that not the EFPF will charge anything from your side to host your application, and also we're not going to pay to you anything for your application to be listed in our marketplace for a year after the project, etc. That's the case here. And as I said, this applies for 1 year just after the project. After that is the matter of any type of bilateral agreements and conversations that should be done between the different parties, but this is not anymore connected to the open call procedures. Everything related to the open calls is during the project and for a year after that. Another point is about what should be public from your side. It was also a consideration for you. So just to let you know, we will ask only for non-confidential results. So we are expected to make public some documents, videos, demos, infographics, etc. And not, for example, your source code or anything else that you think that you cannot make it public. A last point about your considerations is about the payment procedures. We are going to use a lump sum payment procedure, and the payments will be made after the successful delivery of some milestones from your side. So please check our guide for applicants for more information for this. And for the final part of my presentation, let's see some details about the construction of your application. So if you want to create a good application, we suggest you to follow some of the following steps. So firstly, you should check the FPF public resources and documents in order to get the first idea for the project and our call. In the first presentation also, you have a look what is available on our website for this. After that, you should select the type of the activities or sub-projects, if you wish, that fits in your idea. So if you want to create something, to integrate something, or to validate something, then please you should check again closely now our material, and especially our guide for applicants, which is our official document for the open call. So you are going to find there most of the details that you are needed for creating your application. And please, you should visit and register in our portal in order to get more information about our technical staff and services. As you see in the first presentation, there are available there some documentation, some descriptions, some demo videos, etc. So this is going to help you a lot on this. And then you should form your team, and you can also download the application template in order to work on it if you wish offline. Finally, you should register on F6S platform and fill the online application from there and submit it. Only applications that will be submitted from F6S will be eligible. So you should do this process through the F6S. On these links, you can find the main material. We see already some of them available on the first presentation. So we can move from this. And this is my last slide. This is where you can find our F6S application. You can see also some information on F6S for our open call there. And as I said, you should use the last link in order to apply for our open call. And for everything that you need, you can contact us on the info, on our info email for further questions, and we're trying to provide you with some answers as soon as possible. So that's all from our side, Nick. As I said, we have about 20 days. There is time for the applicants to create and submit their applications. So I don't know if there are any questions for now, or we can move on.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Alexandros. Yeah, we have one question. It's not so directly about the open call. It's more one about the technical access to the portal. But one of our attendees has registered for the portal, but isn't able to actually log in. We've had that type of issue before. What would we advise to Neha Yadav for that one? Any of us can answer that one.
Please send an email and we'll look into that. It should be very quick response. Yeah.
Okay, so Neha, please drop us an email at the info open calls address, and we'll look into that issue straight away. We have another question coming in asking, some maybe for Alexandros. For validation sub-projects, manufacturers should store their data on the EFPF platform. That's a technical one. Perhaps Alexander wants to get involved with that too. So if you're validating, do you store data on the EFPF platform?
Maybe I can answer that as well. We have no such requirement. We provide a secure data storage solution that can be hosted by the users at their premise. We are interested in the solution and not the backend infrastructure.
Thank you, Usman. We've got a couple of questions that have come in relating to specific project ideas. You know, I would like to do this. Is it suitable? Unfortunately, we can't comment on any individual proposal ideas. I'm sure you understand that it's not fair for everyone if we provide specific comments on specific individual proposals. So please use the documentation, use this webinar, use the guide for applicants and all the other information that we've referred to try and make an assessment of that for yourself, because we wouldn't want to be advantaging one application over another by responding to comments about individual proposals. So I'm sorry, we're not able to respond to those types of questions. Okay. Another question saying, to apply for funding, do you have to be a member of EFPF? The answer to that is no, you do not. That's absolutely fine. And actually, even if you won funding, you would become essentially kind of an associate partner almost of EFPF. You still wouldn't become a full member. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that, Usman. Good.
No, you're right.
Great. Okay, well, thank you very much for your questions, guys. Do keep them coming. We'll keep trying to respond to them when we can. Now it's time, though, to move on to Alexander, who's going to tell us a bit more about some of the technical aspects of the EFPF project. So over to you, Alexander. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. So you should be able to see my screen now.
We can, yep.
Very good. Okay, just to go back a bit on EFPF, what we want to build there is a federated digital manufacturing platform and provide those advantages in bold. And if you see, we want to reduce the burden of setting up networks, shorten the time for you to create new business opportunities, to enable you to participate in new business opportunities, and to simplify that and give you control over distributed processes. So there's a lot of networking involved, and in Usman's presentation, you have seen the data spine, for example. Just to give you a quick glimpse on the basic architecture, on the top and on the bottom, you see different platforms, services, tools that would be or that we want to enable to communicate and to work together. And that interoperability mechanism is the data spine. That's the big box in the middle. And in the middle on the right-hand side, you see the EFPF platform, where we have components that you have already seen, like the portal and the marketplace, and also some supporting tools and components such as the secure data storage. Even the EFPF platform is just as any other platform regarding the data spine and its functionality. So why would we need a data spine? So the most basic example is you have a service provider and a service consumer. So the service consumer wants to consume that service from the service provider. And then now with the whole heterogeneity of our infrastructures and ecosystems today, there's a lot of potential for not being able to communicate that, be it like the protocols are different, data models, data formats are different. You cannot log in because of security issues. And that's what we want to solve with the data spine. So what is the data spine? It's the integration and communications layer. And its main purpose is to bridge the protocol heterogeneity. So you will be able to access platform services, tools in a uniform way. With the data spine, we support both the pub/sub and request response data exchange, and also the transformation of data models. And we have a built-in security layer to manage all aspects related to, for example, single sign-on, but also securing access to the services and the data that is being transferred through the data spine. So here you see a more detailed architecture of the data spine. This is the green part in the middle. On the borders, you see the API security gateway. Everything, all calls has to be passed through the API security gateway. And this is managing or making sure that you have the credentials to access the service/data that you want to. We have a service registry where all services that are accessible through the data spine are registered. You can query that, and you can get more detailed information about each of the services there. We have a message bus where you will be able to send your data through, And the integration flow engine is the place where it's a place where you enable or can define what kind of protocols and what kind of transformation mechanisms you want to use, for example, if you want to translate between data models or data formats. I will go a bit more into detail later. Here you see some technologies that we use. The data spine is built on top of quite established, mature open source components. So we are pretty sure that that this is a good way of providing you this interoperability mechanism. Here for the data model interoperability, we support both approaches that you have. And the idea is if you have different data models, you can build in the integration flow engine, you can build one translator, and you can reuse that once you have this translator component implemented, or someone else has already implemented that. You can just plug and play and use it there. And there are two ways of doing that. One is with a standard data model as an intermediate step. So let's say you have a data model A, and you want to open up access to the other participant in the EFPF ecosystem. You could create a translation from data model A to some kind of standard data model. And then the other step would then be if another service would use data model B, that would then be necessary. It would be necessary to create a translation from the standard data model to the data model B. Or you can also implement directly the data model conversion. For the API security gateway, this is the main policy enforcement point. We use AP6. It's an Apache subproject. And for the EFPF security portal, we have different aspects like single sign-on. I already mentioned that. Also the user and the policy management, but also the token translation service. What does it mean? For example, on this image, you see there are 3 different platforms with different identity providers. And with the help of the EFPF security portal, you don't need to care what kind of identity provider you is behind a service that you want to consume or a tool that you want to consume. All the token translation between the different identity providers is handled by the EFS. So this makes your life regarding security a lot easier. Here you see the integration flow engine. It's a low-code environment where you define workflows, and those boxes perform some operations. And so you will be able to drag and drop and connect different processing steps. And this is quite nice way without actually having to program source code to enable you to create such integration flows easily. Here you see an example of the different components that are involved if you want to create that service consumption from the beginning. This is now much more technical, but basically on the left-hand side, you have the service provider. On the right-hand side, you have the service consumer. And I don't know if you can see my mouse pointer, but if this service consumer now wants to access this service here, you would need to log in first or authenticate towards the AP6. The AP6 asks the EFS if you are allowed to access any service. And then here the service provider would have created an integration flow where you have an endpoint here. And this endpoint is on the part of the service provider, and what you as a service consumer would see is this endpoint that the integration flow engine is providing you. This is also the endpoint that is available in the service registry. So you would just query or access that service endpoint, and you would then get a response from the service provider. That's the basic idea behind it. On the same aspect, this is for predictive maintenance. Here it's probably a bit more clear. Here, for example, the factory where there's a machine and there's machine data. The middle part is the data spine, and on the top you have different kinds of tools. For example, you would have like anomaly detection, an anomaly detection tool. So how would you use that? You would need to implement a way on the factory side to provide or channel the data through the data spine, and then send the data coming from that machine to this anomaly detection tool. And in the same way, you would get, for example, notification on the through the data spine message bus in case some anomaly has been detected, and then you would need to access the messages being exchanged in the data spine and react to them. But that's the basic idea to it. There was also a question on how to find out more information about various aspects of the EFPF ecosystem. So the first place that you should look at is the EFPF Portal. And from the EFPF Portal, you will be also able to access the documentation portal. And this documentation portal gives you a lot of different information on the various components, tools, and services that we provide from EFPF side or from EFPF partners. And the basic idea behind it, we have an architecture documentation, we have an admin guide documentation, and we have user guide documentation. These are usually the three documentation aspects that you find. And so the user guide is how to use that service. And if you want to manage access to it, for example, the admin guide is the right place. And also if you want to integrate a tool or service, there could also be some integration guide. And this is ranging from overview documentation like this user guide until deep dive into technical aspects on how to deploy and configure services and tools. And that was the quick guide on the technical aspects of the data spine. So are there any questions?
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Alexander. That was great. Just give attendees a moment or two to pop some questions into the window, but we're actually going to move into the Q&A session now anyway. So any more questions that people have, we can hopefully pop them up in there. Just a reminder to everybody, please try and put your questions into the chat window rather than the Q&A window, just so that everybody can see them and can see any typed responses that we might put, but we will also try and give you verbal responses at this stage as well. So thank you very much, Alexander. There doesn't seem to have been any questions come in just yet. So let's move on now to hopefully you're not quite. Let's see, let's share my screen. So let's move on now to the question and answer session. To start off with, were there any questions that occurred to anybody during Usman's presentation about the EFPF project in general, some of the objectives and goals and aims of the project, what the project's trying to achieve? So any questions around that we can start off with now. So What have we got here? Okay, we have got a question come in. So this was actually one for you,
I see that.
Alexander. You can see it. Okay, I'll leave that to you to respond. Thank you.
I know you wanted to read it out loud, so it's on the recording.
Yes, okay, great. So we've actually had two. Let's start with Naeem's question. Has EFPF platform had any integration to any public cloud services such as AWS or Azure?
Well, you can, of course, access anything from those cloud services. The data spine will be provided by EFPF, so there's no need to deploy the data spine or the EFPF portal. What you could use those cloud services for is to provide access to your service. So it's agnostic. The short answer is it's agnostic to any public cloud service.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have another one that's come in. What's the example that you presented, Alexander? An example of what we expect from the subcall proposals?
Probably not a technical question, but it's the examples are very easy and simple to point out what the role of the data spine is. So, but it's some hint in the direction, I would say. Alexandros, you want to answer that in more detail?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, so all the examples we've given today are examples of things that are possible, and they're relatively simple examples to help everybody understand. Where you take it from there is up to you, and we should look forward to seeing the proposals that come from that. Okay, we've got another question from Georgios. Is it obligatory for the validation part for a distinction between synchronous or asynchronous communication?
Short answer is no. You can use whatever kind of communication pattern you want to use, as long as you use the data spine. So that's the requirement, that you use components from the EFPF ecosystem that we provide.
Thank you, Alexander. Question from Niall. He asks about, is the EFPF project all about cloud services? Are edge computing components, hardware and embedded algorithms and related projects welcome?
Well, Alexandros, if you want to answer that, but I think it's the same like the answer before. If you use components from EFPF, that would be a necessity, such as the data spine. And then if you have like edge devices implement or included in your solution, that's everything is possible.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, Alexander. That's exactly the case. Okay, that somehow they should use data spine, etc., to be connected on our services. After that, it's up to them if they want to develop something related to edge computing, etc.
Great, thank you, guys. Any more questions to come in? Don't forget, we can ask about any technical parts to do with the open call. Also anything to do with the EFPF project generally. Okay, here's a question that's come in from Naeem. For validation projects, do you support hardware investments, sensors and gateways and things like that? That's actually perhaps one for Usman and maybe Amparo as well.
Yes, if you mention the infrastructure costs in the proposal, they need to be justified. And also you need to take into account the EC rules on the purchase of hardware, where you can only claim costs based on depreciation and other aspects. So the answer is yes, you can purchase necessary hardware for your project, but you need to justify, and you can only claim the costs after depreciation.
Great, thank you very much, Usman. Okay, we'll keep monitoring the questions. As they come to you, type them in.
Yeah, there are a couple of questions regarding other administrative issues. It seems, a non-for-profit organization that asks about the 30%. If you are a non-for-profit organization, then you are 100% funded, so you won't have that problem. 70%, we use the same approach of a normal H2020 project. So if you are a industrial commercial company, you will be funded at 70% basis. If you are a non-for-profit, you will be 100% funded. And there are another question regarding if it's going to be a lump sum or if it's going to be on a cost basis. Well, no matter if it is a lump sum or if it's going to be in a cost basis, because if you are audited in the future, you will be able to, you must justify in which have you used those that funding. So I strongly recommend you to take the lump sum as if it not be a lump sum. I don't know if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, so although the payments are lump sum payments within the project, from the point of view of audit, it's important that you should keep full records of what you've spent, full receipts and so on, and what time and effort has been put in, because if the EC does come and have a look at it, they will want to know what you've been doing with that sort of money. So keep full records is the answer, but we don't expect you to supply them to us necessarily. It's more for the audit purpose.
Yes, because the EC will have the right to make an audit. So
that's right. Yeah.
You should record costs, etc.
Okay, this is another question we've had in. This one may be a bit more technical, Alexander, so we'll see if it's suitable for you to answer. Will EFPF provide access to actual standards and standardization activities that are part of the EFPF standardization plan to the partners and maybe to the applicants as well?
Well, we don't provide access to, let's say, standard documents, which are usually to be paid to the owners of those standards. But we just had the kick-off meeting for a CWA that we started. So I guess on the homepage you will find more information about that. Otherwise, please get in touch with us by email, and I can provide you with the link to the CWA announcement and how to participate. That's part of the CWA is exactly about the interoperability aspects of the data spine and the standardization of for a reference architecture and a reference implementation that is what we find to be standardized in terms of functionality, for example, on how to connect platforms.
Great, thank you, Alexander. Okay, any more questions for anybody to come in at this stage? We're quite happy to wait for a moment or two while you type them out, and don't worry, we're not going anywhere immediately, so do think about what you want to ask us. Take this opportunity to pick our brains, and we will always try to respond as best we can. Okay, so no new questions are coming in at this point. We'll wait until about 11:15 before we finally close the webinar session. But at this point, I'd just like to say a big thank you to all our panelists today, to Usman, to Alexander, and to Alexandros. And a big thank you, of course, to all of you guys for attending today. We hope that this has been useful for you and you've been able to get a clear idea of what it is we're looking for from your proposals. Hopefully now you're in a good position to put together a really strong proposal. We really look forward to seeing those when they are finally submitted. Don't forget, the critical date is the 19th of February. That's when the submissions close. So you've got couple of weeks, more or less, to work out your proposals and get them submitted. Okay, we haven't had any further questions. Here we are. Yes, that's a good question from Isan. We are going to make a recording of this webinar available within a couple of days on the EFPF website. It's under the Calls Webinars tab. So we will, once we've rendered the video and edited it and made it appropriate, we'll get it up there for you as soon as possible. So yes, there will be a recording available within 1 or 2 days of the end of this webinar. You're welcome, Isan. It's a pleasure to be able to respond to your questions. Okay. We have another question come in. Great. Can a company apply for essentially 2 different project types at the same time? I think the answer to that one is yes, but you can only win one. Would you agree with that, Alexandros?
Yes, that's exactly the case. Only one will be, in the best case, one will be selected. Okay. Yeah.
So you could apply for all 3 different project types if you wished, 3 separate applications, but we would only fund one project from one applicant, if that makes sense. So one of the 3 could be funded, but you are welcome to apply for more than one area. There is also, we should say, we recognize there is a degree of crossover between some of these areas. So that, you know, it may well be the case that there is some validation work that goes together with creating a new service, for example, or there may be some kind of validation work that goes together with integrating a new platform. We do recognize that when we talk about these different areas, it's not that they should be mutually exclusive. We know that there's crossover. It's just that the primary outcome and objective should be in one of those 3 areas. Again, Alexandros, Usman, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. We know how these projects tend to go. There may even be a bit of everything in it, but you should select the application. You should select the activity area where your primary activity is going to occur. But yeah, don't think you have to exclude validating anything that you create, for example. Okay, Amparo has kindly put up the link into the chat there for where you'll be able to find the recordings of the webinar. We have recordings available there from the first webinar back in November, which you can review immediately. We also have some of the slides that we used at the second webinar in January, which you can also view now. And we'll have this one up as soon as we can this week. Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we shall wrap it up there. Thank you all very much indeed for your time. We hope you have a very good week and a good rest of Monday. And any questions you may have that occur to you in the future, please don't hesitate to email them to us, info@efpf.org. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Bye.